Understanding JID is brought to you by Skillshare. The first 500 people to click the link below will get 2 months of free tutorials on almost any creative, business, or tech subject you can think of.
Run, nigga, run, jump, nigga, jump, come here, they come, run.
I got a lot of shit to say, but I'ma keep my list short. I know what I do your favor, but it's not gon' fuck with this part. When I'm done, please know that I will time to this y'all. Cause if this is a competition, then I'm setting this part in my TV.
JID is a really good rapper, but in 2019, being a really good rapper isn't good enough. Think Logic or even Eminem. What was once a skill that could earn you respect and admiration is now the butt of jokes in Instagram comment sections everywhere. And I think that's because lyrical rappers lost sight of the amazing storytelling they're capable of pulling off in their music. Even Kendrick, who's often considered the greatest of all time, watered his music down on Damn. We live in the age of trap music, and as a lyrical rapper you have two choices: incorporate the trends or stick to your guns. It just so happens that sticking to your guns is corny, and incorporating the new style will make you a sellout. So how does JID simultaneously pull off both without a hitch? From his soul and jazz-inspired trap-flavored instrumentals to his energetic lyrical rapping, he's a rapper to pay close attention to for the foreseeable future. In this video, I'm going to talk about JID's musical origins, his storytelling, production, and road to success. Let's get into it.
It's J.I.D. I got the name from my grandma because when I was a baby, she used to call me Jittery because I used to move around real fast and shit. So I just really broke it down. Like, she country as hell, so I know she probably was spelling J.I.D. So I just broke it down like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's ill that she gave you that name because, like, even on some of your songs, your rap flow is kind of jittery. Sometimes you're just like coming through, sporadic, but in a good way, on some like real nice, melodic, ride the beat type shit, not just like you just saying anything.
Nah, it makes hella sense. The name was kind of perfect. She doesn't even remember giving me that shit. I literally asked her, remember we said we was gonna go up and meet her? I was like, Rams, like, you remember calling you? I don't remember that.
You're from East Atlanta.
East Atlanta, yeah.
But I think a lot of fans now, just because of the whole Gucci Mane wave, they just automatically assume everybody from East Atlanta is a super trapper and rep Zone 6, but I don't really get that vibe from you. Yeah, like, can you break down exactly like your little area and what influenced you to become the artist you are?
I'm from the same area as Gucci.
Okay.
You feel me? Like, I stayed on Boulder Crest Road, I stayed on Flat Shows, I stayed on Glenwood, I got family on Gresham, like Candle Road, like I stayed on the whole east side, and I have families, aunties that stay in each of these areas. But it's the same type story. I'm just telling it from my perspective. You feel me? Like, everybody thinks Atlanta's correlated with like trap and woo, but it's just a different perspective. You feel me? Because I wasn't into that shit. I was into some other shit. But I was around people, you know what I'm saying?
Growing up
in an environment, so
but you had a brain to be who you want to be and not just follow the crowd.
JID was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1990. As the youngest of 7 kids, he comes from a big family. His family and friends exposed him to music from an early age. His earliest musical influences include classic funk and soul bands like Sly and the Family Stone and Earth, Wind and Fire. As he got older, he grew an interest in the 1990s New York hip-hop scene, learning from rappers such as Jay-Z, Nas, and Mobb Deep. But before JID discovered a talent for music, he spent some time pursuing a career in sports. He got a college scholarship to play football at a school in the Southeast, majoring in entrepreneurship and sports management. He even planned at one time to consider law school or sports coaching as possible future careers. But life had never exactly been easy for JID, and it wouldn't stay that way either. In an incident he's mentioned in various songs and interviews, JID was kicked out of college before he could finish his degree, and he had to head back to Atlanta. But he wasn't going to waste time. In an interview with Vibe magazine, he talked about how when he was kicked out of college, he immediately went home and started making music. Like many rappers before him, he worked at call centers and delivered pizza, using his money to get his music career off the ground. J.I.D's first mixtape, Cakewalk, came out in 2010 while he was still in college. It didn't make it outside of his college campus, and for good reason. It was mixed poorly with bad beats, and J.I.D's rapping didn't sound anything like it does today. But all great rappers have to start somewhere, and if J.I.D hadn't made Cakewalk, he wouldn't have met EarthGang, a hip-hop duo also from Atlanta that were attending the same university as J.I.D. EarthGang invited him to join their musical collective, Spillage Village, a partnership that exists to this day. Over the next couple of years, J.I.D continued working hard on his raps. From 2010 to 2013, he dropped 4 mixtapes, and skipping from the first to the fourth, the difference between his instrumentals, mixing, rapping, and storytelling is night and day. Para 2, J.I.D's 4th mixtape, honestly sounds a lot like the music he makes now. It's pretty unpolished, but the sound is there. It was around 2013, 2014 that J.I.D's music started taking off in Atlanta. He opened up for Ab-Soul's These Days tour with EarthGang in 2014, and he released his first EP in 2015. Meanwhile, his musical collective Spillage Village self-released their first studio album, Bears Like This Too Much, in 2016. The album featured production from Mac Miller, J. Cole, and Childish Major. Bears Like This Too Much is a quiet, laid-back record with atmospheric beats and thoughtful songwriting. Themes include the Black experience in America, money, and relationships. Shortly after the release of Bears Like This Too Much, J.I.D was signed to J. Cole's Dreamville label. It was a perfect fit. J. Cole is a legendary rapper renowned for his lyrical storytelling, technical ability, and world-class production. Dreamville's cult fanbase is well known for their adoration of Cole's music, but as they would soon find out, J.I.D is more than capable of living up to any expectations set before him.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more?
J.I.D's first studio album, The Never Story, dropped just a month after he was signed to Dreamville, and it's crazy well polished. J.I.D worked hard during the 7 years because it's a unique idea that means something to J.I.D, or an event in his past that made him who he is today. The record's beats are generally trap-flavored, but they keep it fresh by incorporating funk and soul instrumentation. Overall, The Never Story is a record that exists in 2 places at once, but it doesn't feel torn between either of them. And that's what makes me think it could easily become a classic one day. J.I.D was able to find the perfect balance between trends and substance. And how did he do that? Well, it's pretty simple. J.I.D is a lot older than the average rapper bursting onto the scene with a catchy single or a funny gimmick. He's been making and listening to music for a long time, and the result is a rapper that stays true to his past without ignoring what makes music popular right now. J.I.D's second album came out a year after his first. DiCaprio 2 was again released by Dreamville. It's slightly longer than The Never Story with an extra 10 minutes added to the total running time. Sophomore albums are famously difficult, and a particular quote comes to mind when I think about DiCaprio 2. I don't remember exactly who said it, but I think it goes like this. You have over 20 years to write your debut, but only 1 to write the follow-up. The quote refers to the sophomore slump, a seemingly common problem where an artist's second release fails to live up to the expectations set by their first. I mean, sophomore albums are pretty hard to pull off. You can try to recreate the magic of your first album or do something completely different. It's going to be either better than your debut, just the same, or worse. Either way, everyone's watching and no one's going to be completely happy. And that kind of pressure can often result in some pretty harebrained sophomore albums. But DiCaprio 2 expertly dodged these pitfalls experienced by countless artists releasing their second record. DiCaprio 2 was made with the same toolkit as The Never Story, but it tells new stories. J.I.D experimented with new sounds and inspirations while keeping his same soulful trap style intact. Each and every song on the album offers something different from the others, and J.I.D showcases a number of unique vocal styles, from fast technical rapping on 151 Rum to laid-back sing rapping on Workin' Out. The album feels much shorter than it is, thanks to the way J.I.D paces his raps, song lengths, and storytelling. DiCaprio 2 is a lot like The Never Story, but it doesn't feel like too much of a good thing. J.I.D's themes aren't even close to feeling worn out. He talks about drugs, family, friends, and of course the pitfalls of modern romance. His rapping and lyricism is cinematic, and what I mean by that is he makes the mundane seem larger than life. His neighborhood is the stage, his family and friends are the supporting cast, and he's the hero, constantly ducking in and out of trouble, dodging fiendish women, just barely getting by while his interest in music slowly but surely grew into something brilliant.
This next moment is dedicated to all the underdogs in the building, to all the people who feel underappreciated, who's working their ass off right now. This is for the people like Russell Westbrook. Let's try it. Wow. Yo, turn these lights down, bro. Please.
I saw J.I.D. live at Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut. With a capacity of around 800 people, it's a nightclub-style venue with standing room only. And as I looked around the room on that cold March evening, I couldn't help but notice that the venue decorated the walls with pictures of different musicians that had played there over the years. Kanye West just a month after the release of The College Dropout, Kendrick Lamar a month before dropping Good Kid, Mad City, and Radiohead 2 months after the release of The Bends. It was exciting to stand in a room that had seen so many of my musical idols at the very moment they were reaching their prime. But what excited me more was the idea that one day, a picture of J.I.D. himself could be posted on that wall too. DiCaprio 2 and The Never Story are amazing works of storytelling and style in their own right. But like Kendrick and Kanye before him, J.I.D. is at a crossroads. He's told us who he is. His origin story is laid out on paper across 2 amazing albums. But what really matters is what he decides to say next. While we wait to hear what J.I.D. does next, I recommend picking up a few new skills on Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators, with over 25,000 classes in design, music production, and more. You can learn skills that will improve your opportunities and help you do the work you love. Whether you want to fuel your curiosity, creativity, or even your career, Skillshare is the perfect place to keep you learning and thriving in 2019. I personally want to recommend Drum Sequencing 101 by Joseph Evans, but they have classes for almost every aspect of hip-hop production and writing. And best of all, it's super affordable. Skillshare's premium membership gives you unlimited access to classes for under $10 a month if you sign up for the annual membership. So join the millions of Skillshare students today with a special offer that's just for my viewers. The first 500 people to click the link in the description will get 2 months of unlimited access for free. I honestly can't recommend this enough. I use Skillshare every day when I'm making videos. So check it out and start learning.